Hello, my good people. I greet you all. I don't come again. Come again, not the killers. So now up with the use and the go. Seun Sanni don't come out to Arise TV. Nah. If they yarn and say after May 29 that if they swear Tinubu in finish, the wahala when APC government go leave for him. He say he no go fit carry him. He say the load go too heavy for him. May not come be say I will come to talk all the thing when the guy talk. I go leave una make una hear from the guy the way they talk the kind wahala when APC government go leave for Tinubu when go carry. My people, before you watch am, before you listen to waiting this man talk, I beg make you they share this video. They share and go to. Make the whole world they see waiting they happen. Waiting the people heard. Waiting people they think. Waiting people they see. Like it, leave your comment for the comment section so that Facebook will recommend it to other people to see too. Make you not forget say we have national item on this platform. They meant to say na brum laba. I could even now make you see waiting this my talk about what will happen after May 29. Now be this not all.
By asking you about one of your latest tweets, which I think came out probably yesterday or so, in which you were talking about the spending, the last-minute spending by the administration as their sort of last days ebb away. I mean, can you kind of tell us what you were referring to and your sense of the kind of spending that's going on there?
Thank you for having me in your program. Well, President Muhammadu Buhari has spent 8 years in office, and there are two paths to which you can use to measure his achievements. One is putting his own track record in comparison with the one he inherited, and also tallying what he promised and what he delivered. These are two indices. Now, when I tweeted, my tweet is to reflect what is going on presently. For a government that has very few days to live, a lot of things seems to be happening. When they should be wrapping up and then working towards a handover to a president-elect who is from their party, but they seems to be doing things which they ought to have done many years or many months ago. At this very hour, you see them awarding contracts in billions of naira, and then they are also sourcing for loans from outside of the country. They are issuing out appointments and employing people and engaging in all sorts of things, which to me, I see it as a trap being set for the president-elect, which is Tinubu, as it is clear. All these last-minute engagements by the president does not seem to go in good path, because spokesperson after spokesperson, they keep telling us that we will miss Buhari, we will miss this government, we will wish that he is in power, as if they are handing power to Labour Party or handing over power to PDP. And when you say we are going to miss the president, when you say we are going to miss this administration, you are more or less predicting doom or telling us what we don't know. So I am saying this last-minute engagement and involvement and activities of this government does not seem to be one that can be said to be with good intentions.
Well, in that context, then, when he steps down next week after 8 years in office, I mean, what sort of country do you think President Buhari will be leaving behind for Nigerians?
Well, I must say I pity the incoming president as far as what he's going to inherit as a country. And I know very well that there is going to be a tough time for Nigerians and also for this administration, for the incoming administration. If President Muhammadu Buhari has done what he ought to do years ago, it could have been a smooth sailing for the next president. The next president is inheriting a divided country along sectional, ethnic, and regional line. The next president is inheriting over 77 trillion naira domestic and foreign debt. The next president is inheriting 133 million poor Nigerians. The next president is inheriting uncompleted projects and abandoned promises by this administration. The next president is inheriting a serious security problem that has remained unsolved by this administration. According to recent statistics, which was official, about 63,000 Nigerians were killed in the last 8 years of this administration. Kidnapping is still going. Terrorists from Boko Haram to ISIS are still operating. So these are the challenges the next president is going to inherit. And meanwhile, remember, is it the IMF World Bank said in the next few months, about 96% of our revenue will be used to service debt. Now, this is what the incoming president-elect is going to face. So this is the kind of country President Buhari is leaving behind. And to me, I think the next president is not inheriting a plane that's on a tarmac, but he is taking over the seat of a pilot while the plane is on turbulence, it's on stop. So I know that things are not going to be easy, because some of the hardest decisions this government ought to have taken, they refused to do it at the last minute. They couldn't remove the oil subsidy, which they are leaving it for the next administration. They couldn't conduct the census, they are leaving it for the next administration, and so many things. And you see them giving out contracts, you see them giving out employment letters, you see them sourcing for more loans. When we move from sourcing for $10-20 billion loan, we have gone to $800 million loan, which they have even reached a point that as if the country will not function if we don't borrow. So I think what I have seen ahead is a challenge, a tough challenge for Nigerians. And from what I have read from the president-elect, he has not been enthusiastic in making the kind of false promises that was done in the past, like making $1 to 1 naira or building refineries every 6 months. And I believe that by the time Buhari leaves power, there will be a lot of revelation as regards to what has actually happened in the last 8 years with this administration. And the best way to do it is for the incoming administration to come out openly and tell Nigerians the truth, what they have actually inherited. But if you cover them, if you try to protect this administration on the ground that you are from the same party, the roof is going to fall on the head of whoever is going to take over power in Nigeria after May 29. So that is my view. They should tell Nigerians the truth of what they have inherited, and if there is a need to immediately set up a committee or panel to probe this administration, all the laws that have been sourced and the projects they have been used for, and how the ministries, department of agencies of this government have been run for the last 8 years, this incoming administration must probe this administration if they are going to have the benefit of doubt and the leverage for them to be able to operate. But if you take over power and say everything is fine and good, then you should know it that you are going to bear the consequences of what will happen after May 29.
Well, I think you're right about the issue of debt, to the extent that when Mr. Buhari took over, debt was around $60 billion, and as he prepares to leave, it's now over $150 billion. But their argument, and I'm not a spokesman for them, but it is only fair to put forward their argument, is that far from this being a borrowing spree, as it's being made out, that, first of all, it is within acceptable limits, but also that there have been a lot of gains. A lot of that money has been spent on improving the supply of military hardware to the army, tackling Boko Haram. There's been improvements to the road and rail networks. There's a new port in Lagos, the completion of the Niger Bridge in the southeast, the commissioning today of Africa's biggest refinery, etc. I mean, surely those are a credit to President Buhari.
Well, what I want us to take notice about this administration is that apart from President Muhammad Buhari, the next person that speaks on the economy is simply the governor of Central Bank. It's like he is the prime minister of this administration, and everything about the economy centers around him. A government is supposed to have an economic team, an economic council, in which informed economic decisions are made by experts, by technocrats, by people who know what the economy is all about. But in this administration, who is the star in the economy? None. It's all about the CBN involved in infrastructure, the CBN involved in transport, the CBN involved in construction of bridges, the CBN involved in agriculture. So it's all about, it begins and ends with CBN and the governor of Central Bank. And that is why we're here. Now, it is not simply about you have constructed a second Niger bridge, or you have built roads from Kaduna to Abuja or to Kano or Lagos Ibadan.